Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Touchdown Tech, episode 15, the final episode for me and Adam this season.
The finale.
The finale to Touchdown Tech.
It's all ending.
Yep.
It's kind of sad, but...
It's kind of a bittersweet ending because it's been such a good ride, but it's like it's finally came to an end.
It's over.
Yep.
So the season is over.
So the season is over. But... the thing about it is we've had such a good time recording this podcast. We've had so much fun doing it. It doesn't really feel like a bitter moment. Like it does feel like, we're proud of the work we've done. I think we can speak for all three of us.
The season may be over, but now it's time to celebrate. Mm-hmm. Celebrate all the accomplishments of every single player on this team. To celebrate, where they have gotten this season and the records that they've set and stuff like that. To celebrate getting Coach Wilder back for 5 more years. Yeah,
the extension. That was huge. Yeah, stick around for sure. We're going to have awards. We're going to go through the Dude of the Weeks from the entire season. And, it's going to be a good time. We're just going to basically give guys shout-outs who have played good all year and who have really helped make this podcast what it is today. And, But first, we have to talk about the North Dakota game.
Yeah.
We have to.
We have to.
Yeah.
Tech held on for as long as they could.
100%.
They held strong, especially going into halftime. Mm-hmm. We were right there with them, but they pulled away. That's a good football team. That's all you can say.
They are really, really good. The score was 31-6, final score. The game itself, that does not indicate how the game itself went at all. That was a tight football game that just got away from Tech in the fourth quarter because of their physicality and just they were bigger than us.
Yeah.
They were stronger than us. At some positions, they were faster than us. They looked, especially on defense. Their speed on defense is crazy. But they got the win and we said, when we got the draw, we didn't really like the draw because they were 7-5, but they have competed. Had they gotten 2 or 3 plays to go their way in each game, they would have been a top 8 seed for sure. They'd have been about 10-2. I mean, that team is really good. I'll be honest with you, Tarleton State next week, or this week I should say, they got their hands full. Yeah. Even though North Dakota's got to go on the road to Texas, I don't know if Tarleton State can beat them. I don't know if they can beat that team.
I don't know. That's a tough team. That's a team that's been built up. Tech is currently in the process of building up. We just had an 11-1 season. That's pretty dang good. Mm-hmm. But we're still in that process of building ourselves into a program like that.
Yeah.
We can eventually get there, but it's going to take a little bit of time because it took them time to get there. And now they're there. Now they're reaping the benefits of their hard work.
Yeah, they're guys. They're North Dakota's guys are. They don't even look real because like in the press conference, we went to the Bryan Fine Arts building for that, and North Dakota came in first with their coach and 2 players. Both players they didn't even look real. They were like machines, like kind of like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. Yeah. That's what it looked like. They had 2 Ivan Dragos in there sitting there. It was crazy. And one of them, a guy named Lance Rucker, had 3 sacks in the game, sacked Cocoa 3 times, and they would ask him questions. He would be like, no, yes. He was stoned. I was like, this guy. But, yeah, I mean, the matchup itself, it was a close game. The defense, I thought Tennessee Tech's defense held strong. I thought they really played a good football game. And whenever they were put in bad situations, they just kept answering the bell. And so I was really proud of that defense for sure. Offensively, it was hard to get a rhythm going because they were just flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
They forced a bunch of turnovers. We had, I think, 5 or 6 turnovers total. We fumbled the ball a lot. Koa threw a couple picks. It was just they were flying around everywhere. Tech has, to be honest with you, Tech's not seen that level of talent yet this year.
That's probably the thing that hurt Tech the most was the level of competition that we play is not anywhere compared to them. Mm-hmm. A lot of these OVC teams could not hang with these guys for even half of the time that Tech did.
Yeah.
We don't see teams like that. We're hoping that moving conferences and being in the playoffs again will help us get more experience playing teams like that. And I think this is definitely a learning experience, seeing that level of competition.
Yeah, I think so too. It was like Coach Wilder talked about when we had him on the show. He said, we want every team's best because we're not going to know how good we are until we get their best. If we don't get their best, I should say. And, when you're playing the OVC, some of those games where they beat some of these teams by 40 and by 30, and at the time it was fun. It looked great, and the stats were piling up, and the accolades were coming our way. But I think, when you go back and look at it, you're probably traded some of those wins out for a little bit closer matchups. Mm-hmm. That way you could be ready for a game like this. I'm not saying they weren't ready, but just that talent level was something that did, I think, kind of – that's what That's why the fourth quarter got out of hand.
Yeah.
Because they were used to being there, and they wore us down up front. But I'm not saying all this to say, a discredit to this season at all, because I think moving forward, we know now kind of where we want to be. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Wilder said it in this press conference. He said, this is the new standard. You know what I mean? You want to get here every single year and then go further than this too. And I think that will happen for sure. This is only year 2.
Yeah.
You're
not going to win it all in year 2.
No.
But you did win your conference. You got a spot in the playoffs. That's a pretty good point to get to in year 2.
100%. We went undefeated in the OVC, 8-0. We won 11 games for the first time ever. It was a great historic season for sure. Nothing to hang your head on for sure. But like I say, North Dakota, I'll be really interested to see their playoff run, because I think they could make a run.
That's a good team. They really are. They might have trouble with some of them other Dakota teams, but it's just hard to play a team like that. It really is. Those teams are legendary. They really are in the FCS. Mm-hmm. You don't mess around with those guys.
Yeah, that was just a bad draw all the way around. You got one of those Dakota teams. And I think I may have said on the podcast, or if not to people that I talked about, I think North Dakota was one of the best first-round teams in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even 7-5, just go get rid of that. Don't even put that on next to their name. I think they were one of the best football teams in maybe the tournament, but especially that first round. I think they were definitely up there. I just wish we could have got somebody else. Like I know that probably doesn't sound good, like from a competitive standpoint, but the the unlucky draw. Because to me, Tech's a good enough football team to go to round 2. Yeah. But it's like in March Madness. If you're a pretty good team, but you get matched up with the 1 seed Arizona or something in the first round, you're not going to make it very far. Yeah. You're out of the first round regardless. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that.
It's like last year. Well, from our experience, it's like last year when Tennessee played Ohio State in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's like that. You play the national championships, the national champions in round 1. That's bad business.
100%. You give Tennessee, Boise State, SMU, even who did Notre Dame beat? Indiana. I think Tennessee would have beat one of those teams had they gotten that draw in the first round, but they got Ohio State and they just ran through everybody.
You getting a bad pick like that, getting a bad matchup in the first round, this is tough. It's a tough thing to overcome. It really is. And records don't always speak to how good a team is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Like I say, credit to North Dakota. They're a good football team. Their head coach seems to be a pretty good guy. They got good football players. They are a program. And I think Tech is kind of chasing that one day. They want to be that one day. They're in it every year. You know what I mean? They're playing good competition. I think the program is heading towards that direction now, especially with that contract extension for Coach Wilder and everything that's happened around this program. The future indeed looks bright for Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, this was a good season, but this is just a starting point. This is the foundation.
Yeah, this is the building block. Yeah. This is, like you said, the foundation, 100%. We had some guys get some recognition in the OVC. Mm-hmm. Colvis Ferris won Offensive Player of the Year in the entire conference, 100%. And Coach Wilder won Coach of the Year. You got a bunch of guys get first and second and third team all OVC lists.
Yeah.
I can't even name them all because it would take a while because we had so many. I think there was 3 or 4 guys on defense that got first team all OVC, and then 2 more on the second team. So it was just a very extensive list. It was split down the middle in the OVC list. Half of them was Tennessee Tech, and half of them was everybody else.
Yeah.
That's just the dominance is just. That's crazy.
Yeah, Tech gets the recognition they deserve, though. I mean, let's be real. They are by far much better than any OVC team. We proved that when we played UT Martin.
Yeah, that's true. This was definitely Tech's year in the OVC, and now they can take that title with them to go to the Southern Conference. Like you said, it's going to be better competition next year. You'll get some guys like ETSU, ETSU. UT Chattanooga, teams in the state of Tennessee. That's going to be more fun to me in terms of matchups. And I'm excited for that to see what they do.
They absolutely whooped Chattanooga earlier this year. That's a decent team. You know,
they are. They're good. Chattanooga's good. They were receiving votes in the top 25 when Tennessee Tech played them, and then Tech just ran right through them. 45-17.
But I think it's enough talking about Tech playing people and talking about North Dakota and future opponents. I think it's time to get into the achievements and the acknowledgement of some of our best players.
Yeah.
First, I think we wanted to start with Dudes of the Week. throughout the season?
Yeah, I came up with a list of all the dudes of the week throughout the entire season, starting from Cumberland, going all the way down to either North Dakota. We'll shout them out at the very end. We've got a couple guys in mind for this week's dude of the week. So week 1, the first ever dude of the week that we ever did, we didn't really expect it to be this well received, but players like it, so we just kept doing it. Yeah. Trey Holloway and Cocoa Vesperis against Cumberland.
Yeah,
they played great. Trey Holloway he came out of nowhere to me. I didn't see him. He wasn't on my radar at all, but he balled out all year long. Week 2 against UTC, I gave it to the entire offensive line.
Yeah, that was a nice little pull.
Yeah,
the whole line,
and they loved that, so that was good. And then you gave it to Theron Gaines. I think he also won OVC Defensive Player of the Week that year or that week. So that was a good pick. Week 3, Quintel Quinn and Aaron Swafford against Davidson.
You see Swafford's name a few more times.
He'll be mentioned a couple more times. The bye week was interesting because we didn't have any games.
Yeah,
we went with Coach Wilder and Khaleesi.
Coach Wilder and his dog, because we got to go to practice that week.
That's
we got to meet them, and that was really nice.
That was a fun experience. I still remember the conversation that we had with Coach Wilder and those players that we got to hang out with that day. Fast forward to the TSU game, you had Andrew Smith and Noah Robinson against TSU. Andrew Smith had that pick 6. Yeah. Noah Robinson was in the time period where he started really balling out. You know what I mean? Right before he got hurt, he was starting to really take over as wide receiver 1. The very next week against Western Illinois, Noah Robinson won it again.
Yeah,
back with his roommate Cocoa Vesperis. They both balled out. That was the game that I think Noah had like 3 touchdowns,
he had like
130 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just going crazy, and they could have connected for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after that, Logan Weedman and Aiden Littles against Charleston Southern. That was a good pull because I think Weedman's PFI grade or whatever it's called, PPF, yeah, his grade was like through the roof.
Yeah, it was like an 87, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a good one. And we like giving acknowledgement to the linemen.
100%. So like I said, Aiden Littles and Weedman for that one. The very next week against Lindenwood, I went with the Delk twins because they stepped right up when we needed the guards. Wagner and Simmons were both out. And they stepped right into those roles and played really good. And we rushed for like 300 yards against Lindenwood. So I was like, I'm giving it to the Delk twins.
Yeah. And Eric Taylor, he had the block punt, I think.
You gave it to Eric Taylor because he had a block punt, and he also disrupted another punt.
Yeah.
That was on 4th down. So that's basically like 2 turnovers that you're giving, Tennessee Tech's offense the ball right back. And that was the Lindenwood game. That was a kind of a weird game. There was multiple delays.
Yeah.
And then after that second delay, Tech came out firing and just took over the game, kind of like North Dakota against Tennessee Tech. The Lindenwood game was kind of a close, tight game, but because of Tech's talent differential, they just took off.
Yeah,
and just stole it from them.
This is because of all them delays. I mean, it's hard to build momentum when you're constantly being told to stop.
And you would think that would help the home team.
Yeah,
but that was not the case that day.
No,
that was a good. That game kind of goes unnoticed in my opinion. That Lindenwood game was a good stepping stone. The very next week, you had Chima Awagwu and Aaron Swafford against SEMO. That was a good football game. That was a good defensive clinic that Tech put on that day. I know Jack Leatherwood kind of had his way with Tennessee Tech a little bit, but the defense held strong. Chima recovered a fumble in the end zone. Swaff was everywhere. So that was that's his 3rd, I think, already, or 2nd or 3rd that he's already won. The very next week, he had Trey Holloway and Mo LaPierre against Gardner Webb. That one was so easy and obvious.
Yeah.
Those guys took over the game in the 4th quarter.
And that was the week Mo won Defensive Player of the Week, and then we had him on the podcast.
Yep, he sat right there. Maury Sullivan. The very next week, so Gardner Webb, and then after that was Eastern Illinois. You had Maury Sullivan and Theron Gaines. That's when Theron recovered that fumble and scored at the very end of the game to kind of solidify that one. He got a sack first play of the game. I mean, Theron, he was a monster down the stretch. The 12th one was Brian Courtney and Gabriel Hecht against Kentucky because Courtney scored that 1 touchdown that we scored against Kentucky. And then Gabriel Hecht, he stepped in and started his first game at guard against Kentucky, an FCC opponent. So I gave it to him because that's not easy to do. No. Walk into that environment and play guys that are probably going to get paid. They're already getting paid now, but they might get paid more in the NFL later on. So shout out to him. And then against UT Martin, Brian Courtney won it again. So he won it back-to-back weeks. And also Dom LeBlanc kicked the game winner.
Yeah, the game winner. We went with the game tying touchdown and then the game winning.
That's exactly right. But Courtney, other than just the game tying touchdown, he dominated. He had like 80-something yards. He had multiple 3rd down conversions. We threw a couple screens to him, and he took over the game. He was the threat offensively. And every time they go to the red zone, the Tech was looking for 83 to throw to. So they won it against UT Martin. And then Tim Kutrus and Aaron Swafford for this week, Dude of the Week, North Dakota.
This is Swafford's fourth
for Swafford.
That's crazy.
Most of any player. So if you want an overall Dude of the Week award, goes to Aaron Swafford. If you're talking about just statistics and the amount of times that he's won the award.
Yeah, and then Kutrus' first time.
That's his first one.
Which is crazy.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, because he's such a good player.
Yeah.
But also he hasn't needed to step up a lot.
Exactly.
He's a safety. He's playing deep. You got to throw the ball deep for him to get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really do that if Tech's keeping pressure on guys and they can't even get a pass past the 15-yard line,
Yeah. Well, to me, if your safety is making all the plays, he's got a bunch of tackles, he's got a lot of tackles for loss. If you're not pushing him up to the box, if you're keeping him at safety and he's making a bunch of plays, that means somebody's driving the ball all over you.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Like somebody is getting yardage on you. That's the last line of defense. So Kutrus this year, he didn't have to do as much, if that makes any sense. He's still a good football player. He's not forgotten how to play football. The guy he'll still pick you off, as we saw against North Dakota, if he's in the right spot and if you test him. So he's a great player and he's really smart. So is his buddy Aaron Swafford.
Yeah.
Aaron Swafford was everywhere. You know what I mean? And he was Mr. Consistent all year long. You know what I mean? Swaff was just that guy.
I think if we had to go for a most consistent award, it would be Swafford.
Yeah.
He was balling out the entire season.
So like I said, Swaff had 4. That's insane. Theron, Kakoa, Logan Weedman, Trey Holloway, and Brian Courtney, they all won the award twice.
Yeah.
So shout out to those guys who have balled out all year long. It just goes to show you, though, the difference of names through this list is insane. That just goes to show you how much this team is together, and it's a team-oriented game, and the success, the credit goes to everybody.
Yeah. Very, very talented group. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to give each guy their own, their own praise because they're all so good in their own right, but we kind of limit it to 2 guys a week.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to limit it to 2 guys a week, and the mantra we kept saying every single week was we try to get guys who have not had it yet.
Yeah.
We don't want many repeats if at all possible. You get a guy like Swafford, though, you can't help it.
Yeah.
Guys, he's every single week he's in there. So that was just kind of how we did do the week. I think it's time to go to the awards.
The awards.
The one we've all been waiting for. I've been waiting for this all year long to give out these awards.
So, first award is Dude of the Year.
Dude of the Year, the one and only.
It's kind of like our version of the Heisman. And, when we were thinking about it, we were like, we don't want to give Dude of the Year. The Heisman is such a quarterback-centric award. We wanted to focus on someone else. But how could you?
Yeah.
It was a hard choice. I think there definitely were some contenders. We could have gave it to a defensive guy like Swafford or Theron because they were just monsters all year.
Yeah.
But we had to go with Kakoa Vesperis.
Kakoa Vesperis, Dude of the Year, 100%. And when you think about the Dude of the Week lists, he could have been on here 5 or 6 times easily if you really want to go based off of performance and impact on the team success. The guy was good all year long. We talked about him in the very first episode leading into the year. We're like, there's a lot of buzz around this Kakoa Vesperis kid. He led the country in completion percentage last year. You heard all the hype stuff and how good he was from Eastern Washington. You heard he could run pretty good.
Yeah.
But you wanted to see it on the field. You wanted to see it, and you wanted to hopefully have him have a healthy season. We had a guy, Dylan Leibel, in last year who was a pretty good prospect as well. He got hurt early in the year. We didn't really get to see him all that much.
Yeah.
Kakoa Vesperis was healthy all year. Credit to that. And, man, every week he was just when the plays needed to be made against Gardner-Webb, against UT Martin, against, anybody, Zero was going to make the play.
Yeah.
When you always heard Coach Wilder and Coach Brian Scott, the offensive coordinator, talk about, game situations, they would always put the ball in Kakoa's hands and let him go win the game for them.
Yeah, and
that's letting the players play right there.
Yeah, and they especially started relying on him late in the year. We definitely started passing a lot more than running. He's been, I don't want to say carrying this team because everyone's carrying their own weight.
No.
But he has been leading this team.
100%. That's a good word. That's a good way to describe it. He's a leader, not necessarily by his, words, but just the play on the field. You know what I mean? Like I say, anytime they needed to play, Zero was going to make it for him. He's the offensive player of the year in the conference, so he's also the Dude of the Year for the Touchdown Tech podcast.
Dude of the Year.
Dude of the Year, Kakoa Vesperis. That one was not a no-brainer because there was a lot of good candidates, like you said. Could have gave it to Swafford, could have gave it to Gaines. But at the end of the day, when your starting quarterback is good, you're probably a pretty good football team. That was the case.
So, offensive dude of the year.
Yeah, we can't go Kakoa now.
No.
That's not fair.
Can't give it to him twice.
No.
So we wanted to go for someone else.
Let's give some nominations first.
Yeah.
Let's build up a little bit of suspense. Me and you have thought about this quite a bit. You can go Noah Robinson.
Yeah.
You can go Drew Wilder. You can go Logan Weedman, or you can go Quintel Quinn. You can maybe even go Brian Courtney.
Yeah.
The way he played down the stretch was incredible. What makes a good offense run? An engine. What makes a good car run? An engine. You need your engine to be consistent. You don't need any, mess ups.
Can't be backfiring.
Yeah.
You can't be having mistakes. So you want consistency.
Consistency is very important. Offensive player of the year. Offensive dude of the year.
Drew Wilder.
Drew Wilder, because we didn't mention him all year long, but that's a good thing. When you're not talking about your center, usually it's in a bad way. Usually he can't get the snap. He's doing this and that. Drew Wilder was first team all-conference. He came in, he was already an all-conference player at Eastern Illinois. He's Coach Wilder's son. He played center. He won the starting job at center as soon as he got here. Let's just be honest. He did. He won the job as soon as he got here. And he has not had a bad snap all year that I can recall. Yeah. If it has, it didn't hurt us. You see what I'm saying? And he just goes and plays. He's very quiet. I don't really hear much out of Drew Wilder ever. He just goes out and plays, and he plays really well. And I think he was a vital piece to this offense this year that goes very unnoticed, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And we didn't want to give offensive dude of the year to, a skill position guy just because they get stats.
Right.
It needs to be someone who has made a drastic impact on the offense. And we could have given it to some guys. I think if Noah Robinson stayed healthy, I think he definitely could have got it.
He would have definitely given Drew a run for his money. 100%. Yeah.
There's just some guys that they've been limited by their circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Drew has been healthy. He has been consistent. He has played phenomenal all year.
Yeah.
He would have been a great guest for the podcast. Unfortunately, we only have so many weeks.
Yeah. I know. I thought about that too. That would have been a good one, especially, coming off of the Bobby Wilder interview. I thought that would have been a good one to follow up on, but that's just how it worked. We couldn't get them all in here. There's so many guys we would have loved to have on an interview, but Drew Wilder, dude of the year offensively. We can move on right to the defense now. The candidates for defensive dude of the year are obvious.
Yeah.
Aaron Swafford is one of them. Theron Gaines is another one. I think you got to throw Tim Kutras in there because of just his leadership.
Yeah.
I think you got to go Andrew Smith. I think you got to throw Mo LaPierre in there. There's a lot of guys where you can put it at this position because of the statistics that they've had and the impact.
But someone was statistically better.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Swafford was Mr. Consistency all year long. That's great. But there was one guy who, when he was on, nobody could stop him. Nobody could touch him.
Theron
Gaines, defensive dude of the year. Theron was a wrecking ball. The guy played defensive end last year. He was on the defensive line. He had his hand in the dirt. Switched to linebacker this year, and I have never seen that much of a change in a player from year one to year two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just different. He was a different cat. He plays with a lot of energy. He's ferocious. He's got speed. He's got strength. He's got size. He's got everything. He was all over the place. And to me, we've said it a lot. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the country.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have given it to Swafford. Mm-hmm. Swafford was, like you said, Mr. Consistent, but Theron is right behind him in tackles. He's off by a few, I think.
Yeah.
He's got 6 sacks, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember looking at the stats correctly, he's got 6 sacks. He's got a few tackles for losses. I think he recovered a fumble or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So statistically, he has been the driving force of this defense.
I agree. When you look at what do you want your linebackers to do, Theron did it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He forced the ball out. He recovered fumbles. He had interceptions. He had pick six. He scored. Whenever he got a turnover, he scored off of it, which was huge. The plays that he made, especially in the Eastern Illinois game, goes back to me. He sealed that game up. That was over. Once Theron got a hold of the ball and scored, that was it. It was wraps. We were 9-0. So, and he stood out, or 10-0, I think, after that game. But he stood out to me against Kentucky and the bigger teams. You know what I mean? He just really stood out because He was just everywhere. I don't know how else to put it. The guy was everywhere.
Yeah, he is by far, he has the most utility on defense. I think that's a good way to put it. He is so useful. He can do it all.
Yeah.
He's like a Swiss Army knife. You know, he can do just about everything. He can play in coverage. He can stop the run. He can get back to a quarterback. He can, he can be a disruptor.
Yep. He can do it all.
Yeah.
And now for the last award. This one's kind of a little bit unorthodox. We kind of had to come up with this on our own. I want to shout out a couple of surprise due to the years.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, and this award goes to guys who I did not expect, you did not expect to play as well as they did this year. And not because they're not good. That's not it at all.
Yeah.
Because they came out of nowhere and they provided instant impact and they played that way all year long. Because I think these two guys need a shout out for sure.
Who are they?
Well, you've got a few different options. Chima Awagwu was a good freaking player all year long.
Yeah, good guy.
And a good guy, good funny dude. I really liked Chima. I thought Andrew Smith came out of nowhere to me and really had a great year. But when I really looked at it from a standpoint of impact and guys who have just played good all year and, who've been game wreckers, I had to go Trey Holloway and I had to go Mo LaPierre. Mo LaPierre and Trey Holloway are the surprise dudes of the year this year because of their impact, specifically in the Gardner-Webb game. You know what I mean? Because they took over that game and won it for us. Trey Holloway, from the opening snap against Cumberland, was one of our best players. And I didn't see that coming. I didn't know. I mean, there were so many wide receivers, he just slipped my mind kind of thing. When I was doing the preseason evaluation, so many receivers, and, man, he was one of the best.
Yeah.
He was one of the best, and he's good every year or every game. He's good every game. You can do a lot with him. You can go deep. You can give him a little swing route. You can throw it to him in a screen situation. You can even hand him the ball, and he's a threat to take it every single time. So Trey Holloway, shout out to him. And then on the flip side, Mo LaPierre led the team in sacks this year. He didn't even play that many snaps. That's the part that gets me. He has one job for the most part, a main job that he's focused on is beating the tackle with speed and getting the quarterback and bringing him down. And he was the best on the entire team in doing that.
Yeah, he's been an absolute disruptor all year. And he was a great podcast guest. Mm-hmm. We liked having him. He's in our comms class. I feel like we filmed that episode and it got cut. And I think we mentioned that, but it got cut out. He's in our comms class. He's a great guy. But, yeah, he's been an absolute disruptor all year.
Yeah, nobody has been able to block Mo LaPierre all year long. Every time he gets in the game, like I said, he doesn't play that many snaps because they like to give him certain situations that he can succeed in. And, man, the defensive coordinator and the defensive staff, they use him right. I'll just put it that way. They use him correctly, and he wreaks havoc. You know what I mean? If you don't have a quick tackle to block him, he's going to wreak havoc. So I was really impressed with what he did, and the same with Trey Holloway, man. He just – a punt return game, the kick return game, as a wide receiver, Swiss Army knife does not do it justice.
He is all-purpose. Mm-hmm. He will do anything and everything, and he will do it well.
Yep. Well, that about wraps it up, man. Shout out to the awards. Shout out to the guys. Shout out to Shep behind the camera.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody, man. I love this podcast so much, and I hate that it does have to come to an end, but all good things come to an end.
Yes, they do. Unfortunately, we would have liked to have gotten more time. We would have liked to have a few more episodes, but this is where we end things. Hopefully not forever.
That's up to you, big dog.
Yeah, it is.
I'm leaving. I'm retiring.
Tyler's graduating.
Done.
I have another year left. If I can find a co-host and a technical director and the time to do this, I will be back for season 2, and I will be the main host. But we'll see. I would love to be back, though, because I know this team's going to be good next year.
You daggum right, they're going to be good next year.
So, we'll see. I hope that I can I hope I can continue the legacy. As me and Tyler have a little inside joke. He's Harvey, I'm Mike. We're from Suits.
Okay.
So Harvey's leaving me. Mike Ross has to step up. We'll see what I can do.
That did kind of happen, though. Mike kind of did go on his own way. I don't know what season that was, but that did happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of crazy how that lines up.
So we'll see. We'll see. I hope to be back, but that's just up to the situation.
Yeah.
But it has been a fun year. It has been a great year.
You had a few people you wanted to shout out, too, as well, that have really helped us put together the interviews. You know what I mean? And just made the Touchdown Tech podcast what it is.
Yeah, we definitely want to shout out the entirety of TTU football, everyone in the organization.
100%.
There's a lot of names out there that we either don't know or we can't, shout out at this time. Jeff Bowe, the media guy. He has been setting up our interviews for us. He's been a great guy all year. After the T-Wag interview, I think he started setting up each interview, and he was in here for a good while. He started coming to all these interviews, and he's been a help to us even outside of the podcast.
Yeah, he has.
So shout out Jeff Bowe. Shout out Bobby, Coach Wilder.
Coach Wilder. Mm-hmm.
He's been great this year. He has been a fantastic head coach. He's been great to us as, we're part of the media, especially student media. He has been absolutely great because, a lot of the time people don't take us seriously. It's like, these student media, they just run a podcast in the bottom of the library, who cares about them? But he was very nice. He noticed you in the press conference. He invited us to practice. He has been very welcoming. He has been a great guy. He's reposted a lot of our stuff.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic all year. He's been a great example of how to interact with a community.
Yeah, 100%. And just shout out to all those people that have helped us, the Tennessee Tech social media. But shout out to the Tennessee Tech social media because they've helped us out tremendously. The Twitter account, the Instagram account, they've all been very involved with Touchdown Tech, and they've, tagged us in some of their stories and stuff, and they've helped spread the word about Touchdown Tech, which I think was huge because they didn't have to do that. I didn't even think to ask them to do that. They just did it on their own, which I'm really appreciative, and we are really appreciative of that.
Yeah.
But about wraps us up. Shep, go to a wide camera real quick if you're not already on there. Come here, Shep.
Come on, Shep.
Come on. Let the people see the man behind the camera.
We got to give a shout out to our technical director.
I'm going to scoot in here if I can. This daggum TV. Shep, this is our technical director. This guy makes it all happen. Yes, Shepard Stedman, man. Without him, like we said, we're just two dudes talking in a dark room.
Yeah, we would not be able to do this. We wouldn't have all the camera switches. He, wouldn't have anyone to convert our videos.
Yeah.
We would be just wide shot talking. It would not be a good experience for any of you. So shout out Shep. You never see the guys behind the camera, but they make it happen.
Yeah, Shep comes in here. He doesn't get paid. He just comes in here, does his job, and we crank these episodes out every week. And even with all the technical issues that we've had, none of them has been his fault. This is just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But we've fought through adversity all year, just like Tennessee Tech football team has. But that's going to about wrap it up for the finale of Touchdown Tech, episode 15. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening all season long. We really appreciate it. We will catch you guys in the next one.